everybody, welcome back to Decide Your Destiny. I'm your host, Josh Jacobs, and I am super excited for the show today. So today we're going to talk about something that, something that I personally went through, something that I feel like a lot of people go through. And the reason that I want to record this episode right now is just got back from a dog walk, and one of my friends who, is having some trouble right now called me and was just telling me how he needs to, get out of this negative thinking, and that, all of his thoughts are negative. He just feels like negative things keep happening in his life. And while there are positive days, everything in life seems overwhelmingly negative. And that's something that I went through for a while on my own. And it was a deep depression. And every single thing in my life felt negative, other than the few positives that I had going for me that honestly saved me. My relationship, my family, like things like that saved me when I felt terrible. And these negative thoughts, here's the thing about it. You don't want to feel like that. Nobody wants to feel these negative thoughts. The problem is nobody knows how to stop having them, because when you're having these constant negative thoughts, you just feel like negative things keep happening to you. So you're obviously going to have negative thoughts. How am I going to stop thinking negatively when this happened to me? How am I going to stop thinking negatively when the X, Y, and Z keeps happening and all this shit keeps piling up? How am I going to ever even think positively when nothing positive is happening? That was a circle that I told myself in my head for probably a year and a half. Like when I went through my worst depression, I'll call it, probably a year and a half, I just had negative thoughts every day, didn't know how to stop the negative thoughts, didn't want to have the negative thoughts, wanted to be positive, wanted to be happy, but I didn't know what to do to stop them. And I'll tell you exactly what I did. And just to give you an idea of how well this worked, what I'm about to share with you, a little over a year ago, I was in the deepest depression that I've ever been in. A lot of things are going well in my life, were going well in my life, but I just felt like I wasn't living up to my potential. I felt like I could do more. I wanted more with my life. I wanted more with, everything. And that's what was driving this depression. So long story short, for about a year and a half, I had really negative thoughts. A little over a year ago, as I record this, it's August 2020. A little over a year ago, in the beginning of 2019, and throughout 2018, I just went through a bunch of shit that I'll talk about eventually that just, really affected my mindset. And I just could not get out of this negative thinking. Like I said, everything that happened to me was negative. Nothing that happened to me was my fault. Everything was other people's fault. Then I started finally to believe it was my fault. Then, this whole progression happened. But the moral of the story is I had negative thoughts all day, every day. I didn't want to have negative thoughts, but I didn't know how to stop them from happening. And here's the reality. If you're thinking negatively all day long, every single day, and your thoughts are all negative things are going to continue to happen to you. The law of attraction is real. Like if you're constantly thinking about negative things, you're going to be looking for the negatives or the potential negatives in everything that you do. Whereas if you're focused on the positives, you're going to be looking for the positives and focused on the positives of whatever you do. So here's what I did. I started treating my mind like as it should be treated, with the respect it deserves, right? People talk about dedicating time for exercise to work on your physical body, to work on your physical health. What about dedicating time to work on your mental health? Because I'll tell you the truth, your mental health is more important than any other health. Because if your mind isn't right, you're not going to be able to do anything. So I started treating my brain like a muscle, and I started working on it. They say if you want something to get better, you have to work at it. If you want your body to get better, you have to work at it. If you want your business to get better, you have to work at it. If you want to get a better baseball swing, you have to work at it. Well, if you want your mind to get better, you have to work on it. And that's what I realized, right? And therapy never worked for me. None of that stuff worked for me. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I think that if you feel like you need therapy, you should absolutely do it. But there are some people who just don't want to get therapy or don't feel like that's the type of mental health that they need. And that was how I felt. I didn't feel like I needed a therapist. I've seen many therapists in my life, and I absolutely 100% condone it. I just didn't feel that that's what I needed at the time. So what I started doing is I just started YouTubing, how to stop thinking negatively. And I mention this all the time, but the first podcast I ever watched was an Ed Mylett podcast, and it made me fall in love with podcasts. And I just started saying, you know what? I'm going to watch 2 podcasts a day, or listen, depending if I'm in the car or at home. I'm going to listen or watch 2 podcasts a day. Okay, I can dedicate 2 hours of my day, whether it's while I'm working and doing something else, or while I have some free time or while I'm driving, to listen to a podcast. I could substitute listening to music for listening to a podcast for 1 hour a day, right? So that's what I did. And since last August, I have watched a minimum of 2 podcasts a day every single day. There is not one day that has gone by in the last year that I have not watched or listened to at least 2 podcasts. Not one day, because I recognize how important it is for my mental health. Not one day has gone by in the last year where I have not watched or listened to at least 2 podcasts. And let me explain to you what has happened to me in the last year. I went from being in the most depressed place I have ever been in my entire life to being potentially the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. I went from being nearly 300 pounds to being almost 200 pounds and working out every single day. I went from never working out to working out twice a day. I went from sleeping in and watching TV all day to getting up early, winning my mornings, and getting more done for work than I've ever done before. I went from making less money to making more money. I went from doing types of work that I didn't want to do to types of work that I did want to do. I went from prioritizing shit that I shouldn't have been prioritizing to prioritizing shit that should be prioritized. Like, every single area of my life has been optimized throughout the last year, all because I dedicate 2 hours a day to my mental health. That's it. That is it. It is not difficult. You just need to start the process. And here's what I would say to you about the negative thoughts, right? Because it's hard to get out of the negative thinking, right? It's hard to, once you're in that black hole, I'll call it, like, it's hard to get out of it. You get sucked in. So here's what I did, okay? I started watching podcasts of people who were just a lot less fortunate than me, right? Maybe somebody who has no arms and no legs. Maybe somebody who is blind. Maybe somebody who has had their entire body burned in an accident. Like, just things where I can't even comprehend the difference of lifestyle. Or like, when I complain about my problems, I just think this person has something that they're dealing with that's much larger than anything I'm dealing with, and they're getting through it. Why am I complaining right now? So what I did in the beginning was I watched a lot of those types of podcasts where I would compare, and I know they say don't compare, but in this case, I feel like comparing is actually a good thing. I would compare what I'm complaining about to the person that I had just watched on a podcast. And maybe I was complaining about not wanting to do work or not wanting to work out, or that the world is ending because something bad happened to me in my business, or something bad happened, and I just didn't feel good about it. Then I would look at somebody who has had the world pinned against them, right? Has no arms, no legs, and, obviously has a much more difficult time than, somebody who's able-bodied. And I just tell myself, man, this person is not complaining. This person is being so positive. What the fuck is wrong with me? I need to love life. I need to be happy with where I'm at and happy with my own decision to progress and improve daily. If I'm not where I want to be today, that's okay. I can't complain about it. All I can do is continue to push forward and improve myself every day to get towards my goal. And as long as I'm doing that, I will be happy. As soon as I stop working on myself, as soon as I stop working on my goals, the black hole is going to try to start sucking me back in. And I just know that. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is that if you are having constant negative thoughts and you just feel like, everything bad is happening to you, nothing is going to change until you decide to change it. Nothing is going to change until you decide that you are going to do everything in your power to start having positive thoughts, which means daily working on yourself, on your mind, listening to podcasts, watching podcasts, reading books, doing anything that makes you feel, once you find that thing that makes you feel positive, sink yourself into it. That's why I did this thing with podcasts, because I recognized immediately, okay, this opened up my mind. This is good for me. And that's why I committed to the 2 a day thing, because I knew that this was good for me. So once you find that thing that's good for you and that's positive for you and that helps you stay positive all the time, and I have a feeling that podcasts will help you do that, make a goal to spend a little bit of time on it every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, right? Even if it's 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day turns into 10 minutes, turns into 30 minutes, turns into an hour. Just start somewhere, because until you start, this shit of going down the black hole of negative thoughts is going to continue. So if you're in that place right now, just know that you can get out of it, even if you have no idea how. You can. You just need to work on it, and you need to dedicate time to your mental health. And this goes for people who are mentally healthy. And I'm sure many of you already know this, but like I said, to this day, I still watch 2 a day. I feel very mentally healthy right now, but I'm going to continue watching 2 a day for the rest of my life. Unless things change, who knows? But I'm telling you right now, this is really good for me, so I'm going to continue to do it. Find what's really good for you and continue to do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I just went on a freaking rant, but this, I feel like, is going to help a lot of people. So if you like this episode, go ahead and share, please, with one friend. That would mean so much to me. That's how the show is going to grow. Or leave a review, like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe if you're watching on Apple or anywhere else. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Get out of the negative thoughts and go and work on yourself. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon.